Good evening. The Oak Park Council meeting will be starting in promptly 30 seconds. Thank you. Good evening. The Oak Park Council meeting will be starting in 30 seconds.
This meeting of the Oak Park City Council is called to order. Please stand for the pledge to the flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
City Clerk Ed Norris, would you call the roll?
Mayor McClellan.
Here.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner. Here. Councilmember Burns.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Councilmember Weiss.
Here.
Okay, we have a quorum. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
So moved.
Support.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Item 5, we have the consent agenda, just 3 items. Regular council meeting minutes of December 17th, 2018. Recycling and Environmental Conservation Commission meeting minutes of October 18th. Licenses, new and renewals as submitted for January 7th. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
Support.
Moved and supported. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. We have an elected official, Representative James Jackson is the Regional Director for United States Senator Gary Peters. And James will update us briefly if you come to the podium.
There we go. Better? Well, good evening, Madam Mayor, members of the council, city manager, my friend Mr. Tungate, and residents of Oak Park. I bring you greetings on behalf of Senator Gary Peters, and I am his regional director for Oakland County, so I cover all of Oakland County, and I wanted to make sure that I came by at the beginning of the year to check in and touch base with not only the leadership of the great city of Oak Park, but as well as the residents and local businesses. I want to make sure, and the senator wants to make sure, that all of you all are aware of his continued commitment to this city and this community. We've worked alongside the leadership of Oak Park for many years, and we want to make sure that you all know that we're here to support you as you continue to move your economic development forward, your residential projects, and all of those items that continue to make Oak Park prosper the way that it continues to do. I will be coming in periodically throughout the year just to provide updates on some of the things that are happening in D.C. And as you all may or may not be aware, there are some things happening in D.C. And some things aren't happening in D.C., quite frankly. But we are working diligently to make sure that your government in D.C. continues to work on behalf of you. So I appreciate the opportunity just to say a few words and bring greetings on behalf of the senator. I am at your disposal whenever you need me, and I'm always in the area, and the leadership in this city absolutely knows how to reach me. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Oh, okay. We have our Oakland County Commissioner, Helene Zach. Welcome. Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. Helene Zach, Oakland County Commissioner for the east side of Oak Park, east of Coolidge. And I want to tell you, this Wednesday night, we are officially starting our new term with the Board of Commissioners. And I do welcome people, if you want to come and see the pomp and circumstance, to come to the swearing in. It is at 5:30 at the Board of Commissioners Auditorium, which is part of Oakland County Complex. I'm very excited about this new term. We have an opportunity to reorganize how we do business. Our administrative director has been studying how things go through committee, and we have an opportunity to enhance the legislative branch, and we are changing how different resolutions move through committee. And we have reorganized the committee structure so that people will understand what we do. For example, we used to have a general government committee, which is very vague, and now we will have a legislative affairs and government operations committee. We have a new committee called Healthy Communities and Environment. We have a committee, we used to have one called Public Services, which was vague. Now it's Public Safety and Social Justice Committee. We also have renamed another community, Economic Growth, Infrastructure, and Technology Committee. And then finally, I have the honor and privilege to chair the Finance Committee. So I'm excited about that. Along with this reorganization, we are going to have some more South Oakland County representation in some of the appointments. For example, we have a Parks and Recreation Board, and my caucus is able to appoint 2 people to this committee rather than 1. And, from commission standpoint. So Nancy Quarles, the other Oak Park County Commissioner, will be serving on the Parks Board with Gary McGilvray from Madison Heights. We also are appointing a citizen, another African-American woman from Southfield, to be on the board. So for the first time, we're going to have diverse representation on the Parks and Recreation Board. And hopefully they're going to start some policies that are going to reflect more of the things that we want done in Oak Park. So I'm very excited about, those opportunities. I will be serving on SEMCOG again, working on regional cooperation. It's still not decided, I'm either going to serve on our health committee or on the Citizens Advisory Council for the Community Home and Improvement Department to really work on housing issues, but I won't know. Tomorrow I'll know which one I'm going to serve on. Also, as Chair of Finance, I'm going to be on the Drain Board, retirement, some other committees that come with that, part of the Moody's budget meeting with the county. So it's a new, exciting opportunity for me to be able to do this in my 9th term as County Commissioner. And I want to thank everybody for supporting me. Finally, we are accepting into Oakland County $1.8 million from the Michigan Talent Workforce Development Department in the state for what we call Going Pro Talent. And this is another job development opportunity. There are, 60 different companies in Oakland County that are going to be receiving this money to train 324 new jobs and also expand skills. And I was looking to see if any of these companies are in Oak Park. Unfortunately not, but we do have some nearby. Ferndale Laboratories in Ferndale. We have Shannon Precision Fastener in Madison Heights. I'm sorry, we do have Eaton Steel did get some of this money. We do have one Oak Park company. So it's really a great opportunity. If you are a person that needs some job skills, please go to your workforce development office, which is, the closest one is in Oak Park, at Oak Park Schools Administration, and you can sign up and can, maybe be eligible for some of this new training money coming through. Any questions?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Sounds like it's going to be a busy time. Number 11, is there a motion to approve payment of invoices submitted by Garen Lukow Miller, PC, for legal services in the total amount of $16,952.49? Oops, before that, we're trying to skip right over Mr. Kettner. Yeah, just a small, so anxious to get on. This, we'd like to welcome a partner in Riemann Robson, Mark Kettner, and he is going to discuss our annual audit presentation. Sorry for jumping right over you.
Well, that's okay. Clerk Norris was wanting that to happen since he has a reason to be out of here and home by 8 o'clock. So I'm going to try powering through this, but I am here for you to answer your questions. So whatever that might be, we will take the time to do that. Just a couple items I want to highlight. If you've got your report there, 11, 12, and 13 is the item that's actually the auditors in this whole big document, and that's our report and opinion. The opinion is actually stated on the top of page 12, and that is the financial statements, in our judgment, are fairly presented in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles. To state double negative, there were no misstatements that we found, or we're not aware of any misstatements. Somewhere I was going to make a double negative, but I missed that there, so who cares? It's good news. It's what is called a clean or an unmodified opinion. Your expectation of finance and management should be that they discharge their duties in such a fashion to allow for the ready preparation of these financial statements. It's not an opinion on financial condition. It's not saying everything's perfect. Just say there's no material misstatements, okay? I can tell you that I think in the number of years we've been doing your audit, that this was the best year in terms of preparedness and working through it. So compliments to all those who deserve it. And that's great. Keep it up.
Didn't you say the same thing last year? Thank you. Didn't you say the same thing last year?
Did I say that?
No, you didn't. You didn't.
Well, maybe it was better last
You
year,
didn't.
but you set a new world's record.
Hopefully you say that
You know,
every year.
so it's like swimming. You took off a fraction of a second off the
That
thing.
is the first time I've heard that, and that's nice to hear.
Okay.
He's
Yeah,
a
so
troublemaker.
from our standpoint, it was very noticeable, okay? And I think city manager and such, that it was noticeable from your guys' standpoint. So that's good. On page 19, which is a two-year schedule that's in management's discussion and analysis, probably the biggest thing that happened in terms of new standards. I told you in prior years this was coming, but it was here, and it is so exciting. The table that's on page 19, the second line from the bottom there, the restatement for GASB 75, which required that your unfunded liability for retiree health care, OPEB, had to be booked. And it gets booked primarily in the governmental activities, okay, not the general fund, but the governmental activities, right, and the business type activities, which is pretty much the water and sewer, okay? So that was almost $50 million of unfunded liability. Now, in doing so, it didn't increase or decrease your exposure to that legacy cost, okay? All it did was change how it was reported in here. So that information was in here in the financial statements in prior years. It's just where you had to go to look for it. But that is in there, probably the big accounting to do, the big change. Probably much closer to home in terms of your financial condition would be pages 36 and 37, which is the budget and actual income statement for the general fund. On page 37, third line from the bottom, you had an actual net change in fund balance that was an increase of just short of $41,000. Your revised budget had that number at a little over $300,000, so you came in a little bit less than budget, but off a $20 million budget, you pretty much hit break even. And given the nature of things, I think that's pretty good. So that the other thing that means to me at least is pretty sound financial management. All right? Not to diminish all the rest of the great information that is in your comprehensive annual financial report. And by the way, you submitted last year to the GFOA. You got your Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. That's great. You will get it again for this report. I would be glad to stop so you can finish early and take any questions, or first maybe City Manager has a few things to say.
Madam Mayor, thank you.
City Manager Tungate.
Well, I do have a few things to say. One, I do want to thank Sandra Crawford and her team, Mark and your team as well, professional as always. And after several years we've had you guys, every year gets better. And I would also concur, this was definitely, from my standpoint, the best year in terms of being organized and ready to roll it out. I think it's an important point to make that we did finish the year better than the original budget, about $41,000 better. And this is now, I think, our fourth straight budget surplus from our original budget year in a row. And that's great news. All of those funds are, as you can see on page 37, council members, those funds are going into building up our undesignated fund balance. And I've heard so many times, and I spoke at a community meeting last week and got asked this question, but I've spoken so many times about, well, why do we have this stockpile? I'll call it a large stockpile, but we have a stockpile set aside, for our rainy day fund as it's called, and we have that set aside, and we contributed more to it again this year for the fourth year in a row because, as we can see right now, markets are floundering, and we believe we are as prepared as we possibly could be for when and if there is a real market downturn, like, possibly like the one we had in 2008. We have about a 18% undesignated general fund balance, which means that for 18% of our fiscal year, we can operate unassisted without additional funds. So for about 2 months, we can operate unassisted, which might not sound like much, but compared to where we were and to municipalities like ours in our similar situation and size, we're in pretty good shape. And I'm very proud of that. I'm very proud of our staff, especially for where they've taken us on that. So I wanted to add that, and with that, if there are questions for me as well, I'm happy to answer them.
Council members, are there any questions? Everybody's happy? We're thrilled and delighted with the work that you've done, auditing, and our finance department is stellar, and we appreciate your work and everything you've done to put all of this information together. And again, I like some of the sections that explain what's happening because they are in English and not in financial language. So that is highly appreciated because then it actually communicates to those who didn't major in finance.
Well, very good. Thank you very much. And I'm glad to contribute to your evening.
Right. We tried to skip you. I tried. I don't know.
Great. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. Now, accounting reports. Approval of the payment of invoices submitted by Garen Local Miller for legal services in the total amount of $16,952.49.
Support.
Moved and supported. Discussion or questions? Roll call, please.
Councilmember Burns.
Yes.
Mayor McClellan.
Yes.
Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Yes.
Councilmember Rich.
Yes.
Councilmember Weiss.
Yes.
Motion carried. Going down to item number 15, Public Safety. City Manager Tungate, please.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. I'd like to ask Director Steve Cooper to join me at the podium for 15A, please. Good evening, sir.
Good evening, sir. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Before you, I have Traffic Control Order Number 160, Section 1.8. The Department of Public Safety is requesting a 2-hour limit for the off-street parking located on the south side of 26045 Coolidge, which is Metro Frames Incorporated. A few years ago, the city built an additional off-street parking area to accommodate approximately 8 vehicles, and this area was much needed to relieve the parking overflow for the customers who frequent the shopping complex. Since the additional parking area has been constructed, there's been a major problem with vehicles being parked in that area for substantial periods of time. Some vehicles have been parked in that area for several days at a time and even longer. This area was never intended for this purpose. The management company for the complex has requested our assistance to help alleviate this problem. So I'm coming before the city manager and council asking that you approve Traffic Control Order Number 160, 1.8, which will limit the off-street parking on the south side of 26045 Coolidge to 2-hour parking only.
Okay, we need a motion to approve this Traffic Control Order Number 160, Section 1.18.
So moved.
Second?
Moved and supported. Questions or discussion? No. We're happy to do that, and that was
It wasn't
the,
a question. No, I didn't have a question. I'm just saying, I'm glad they see this, because I had been at a couple of businesses on 9 Mile in Coolidge, and this had been mentioned about the long-term parking. So, thank you.
Madam Mayor?
yes.
I just have a quick question. Do we know if this is an issue in any other parking lots in the city?
Periodically, you'll hear some complaints from some of the business owners. Nothing that has amounted to the extent of the off-street parking up on the north end of town at Coolidge. Some of the issues we've addressed aggressively with the coming out with our traffic enforcement, our officers actually issuing tickets if they're there for longer than the 2-hour limit. The issue with this off-street parking is that there were never any signs erected designating this for 2-hour parking. And quite honestly, you had some of the residents who lived on Elgin using that as like a spare garage or parking space. So they were parking there for several days. And then some of the other businesses, patrons would come there and abuse the parking privilege. So I think with the 2-hour parking limit sign put up there, once we get that erected, then like I said, we'll do some aggressive enforcement to drive home the point, and I think that should hopefully alleviate that problem. And as far as the other areas in the city, we usually address those pretty aggressively as they come into my office.
Okay. Thank you. And this is just north of Lincoln?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah. I remember, it's something to look into on 9 Mile Road, that the bus drivers were parking in some similar kind of place all day long. That might be something to investigate and
We've addressed that on more than a few occasions. We've tried several different approaches. I think we've actually got that problem pretty much alleviated for the most part. But you're right, it was the bus drivers were actually using some of the commercial spots there as they went about picking up and dropping off students for the various schools. And then the business owners were having issues with customers who wanted to come in and get out. So we spoke with the school district. They sent out flyers to the
bus drivers.
to the workers, and we followed up with, like I said, some traffic enforcement. Unfortunately, we issued some violations, and then it's kind of a perishable memory. You have to go back and do it again and again, and I think we've driven home the point now, so we haven't had any recent issues that I'm aware of, but that's something
Great.
we always keep our eye on.
Great to hear. Okay, let's see, we need a vote, right? Let's see.
Support?
We have moved and supported.
Yeah, we did that already.
I think we've got that, and all we need is the vote.
Yes.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
you.
You're the best, Chief.
Nope.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This motion is carried.
Madam Mayor, members of council, that completes the city manager report for this evening. Thank you.
Okay. Next is call to the audience. Please give us your name and address and limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Nadine Coleman, 22160 Sussex Street, Oak Park. I'm the president of the Sussex Street Block Club, and we're back. And we have a question, and that is, what do you suggest we do? Because we have exhausted every effort. We have gone to the top, and no results. So my question is what do you feel that we should do at this point?
Madam Mayor,
Please.
can I speak to you afterwards? So we've, as you know, we've looked into the property at that home. And by the way, I can appreciate and respect your diligence in your area. You guys are doing a great job. But we can't discuss the issues with that home.
I understand that, but I was expecting a return call from you after I called
Well,
back
you
on
gotta
December 6th.
Well, I will talk to you afterwards, but.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Joyce Bannon. Happy New Year, everybody. Thank you.
That was quick.
Good evening, Shanada Harris, 24611 Pinehurst. I'm just coming up on behalf of what I do. I fix credit. I want to be able to offer and help any of our citizens here in the city of Oak Park who are in need of assistance, where they have bankruptcies, late payments, collections, and need assistance with fixing their credit. I am available. I do have a website. My website is 123fixcredit.com. A phone number that I can be reached is 734-752-8818. And I thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. Good evening, shall I say. I'm sorry.
Give us your name and address.
Yes, Mrs. Thomas, 24,000 block of Kenosha. I was having a hard time coming out, Mayor McClellan, but I needed yourself, Mr. Eric Tungate. I've also been over to the office as early as this morning in the Technical and Planning Department regarding the address of 24321 Kenosha Street. I'll shorten this as much as possible because I've been losing a lot of sleep. Lots of issues. I've also talked to several of your officers that came out. My tax dollars are working fine, no problems with that, with the police support. But it's getting to the point where it's getting out of hand. I think my only other recourse is to possibly, because I'm here to ask for the mayor's help, whomever is here that can assist at this point, because I feel like I've been through forms of harassment. I've had one of the most pristine houses on the block, cleaning up. You name it, I'm there. My kids are grown now. My son was 2 years old when I moved here, by the way. I've listened to your story, Mayor McClellan, about how you were a single mom and all that. I came here in Oak Park the same way. All three of my children are grown. Youngest daughter, master's degree. Oldest daughter, registered nurse at Beaumont, 15, 16 years. Grew up through all the schools here, elementary through high. Now I'm dealing with bad neighbors, rental property, the address I just gave, from litter, garbage. DPS have been out, tagged garbage. Your police department, my police department has been out, tagged cars multiple times recently. You name it. Just of last night, I had to wake up and go to the side of my bathroom window to pretty much ask this renter's company to get from up under my window. They're literally this close to my house. I've had to put boulders up because I've called the cops out before about this guy parking motorcycles and everything literally on my property. I don't know what else to do. I'm tired, I'm losing sleep, my kids are gone. I'm an empty nester. I'm supposed to be happy, having fun, getting sleep. None of that has happened this year. Now it's my new year. And this is what I'm having to deal with. So I forced myself to come here tonight.
Let me ask you to meet right after the meeting in a couple minutes with Director Cooper
Okay.
and see if that is an avenue that would help.
Okay, because I've talked to him too, but he's been great. But I just needed to come here and get it televised and talk to you because I've talked to you many times. You're phenomenal. I've talked to Carolyn Burns. I mean, you all are doing a great job here in my city. Believe me, I've been here long enough to see things and know. So I'm grateful, you know. But this is heart-wrenching to me.
Right. Is Director Cooper on? Yeah, can you give us your phone number, name, address, and phone number?
Yes, I can do that.
Not on the mic,
Yeah,
but.
I can do that. Mhm.
Anybody else?
My name's Larry Root. I live at 14041 West 10 Mile, and I would like to thank the city for fixing the damn roads, a lot of them. Still a little ways to go.
That's the
But
governor,
turnaround
not
at
us.
10. Thank you.
Anyone else? Let's move on to Mayor Pro Tem Radner.
Good night, everybody.
Councilmember Burns.
Thank you, everyone, for coming out. Please be cognizant of the weather. It's supposed to get really, really cold. And Happy New Year.
Councilmember Weiss.
Happy New Year. I just wanted to make sure everyone was aware that Winterfest is coming up at the end of the month. It's going to be on Sunday, January 27th from 1 to 4 p.m. At the community center and also the ice arena and some outside areas in between. There's going to be face painting, ice sculptures, s'more making, arts and crafts, lots of fun, happy activities for everyone to participate in. Also free ice skating. So encourage everybody to come out for that. Also, I just want to do a big shout out to our library director. We had an amazing event at the library on Sunday, the grand unveiling of the new Lorraine Faber children's area. Oh, and there are pictures. If you look up on the board, you can see. Just a big thank you to her for working so hard on that. Obviously, the Faber family for their support and donating all of the money to be able to fund the center. It was an amazing event, and we're just so grateful to the Faber family, to Lorraine Faber's legacy, and also to our library director and our library staff and library board and everyone, friends of the library, and everybody who worked to make that happen. So thank you. And come check it out, because it's beautiful.
Absolutely.
Have a good night.
Thank you. Councilmember Rich.
Good night.
Okay, I have a couple things. The Recycling Commission reported in their most recent report that recycling in Oak Park is up 66% to date, which is great news. I wanted to let you know that there is a Waste Wizard tool that SACRA has. You go to www.sacra.org to find out if this thing or that thing is recyclable, so you can try using their tool. If they missed your pickup and didn't collect your garbage, please call the administrative number 248-288-5150 if the recycling wasn't picked up, that is. That was that part. The Oak Park calendar came out. I think everyone got one. If you didn't, there are more here at City Hall and at the library. One resident said she was disappointed because there wasn't a picture of Mace in the calendar, so I'm sure we'll fix that next time. If you have ideas or pictures that could be used, send them to Colton Dale, our communications expert, cdale@oakparkmi.gov. There were 4 weddings this month in December. One bride and groom grew up in the same town in Burnsville, Arkansas. And in high school, he promised he'd marry her one day. But he moved to Memphis, and she got married and had kids, and one thing led to another. 45 years later, he moved back to town because his mom was ill, and they reconnected. They decided to get married in Oak Park because that's where her daughter lives on Kingston. And they're both opera fans, so we played a Pavarotti song as she came down the aisle. The bride's granddaughters, Talia and Bobby, were the flower girls who threw pink petals. They had practiced a lot. And Talia was 8 years old, and she gushed, "I've been waiting my whole life for this opportunity to be a bridesmaid." And then another one of note, Andre and Lakeisha signed their marriage licenses here on New Year's Eve Day. Lakeisha wanted an ocean wedding, so they got married the week before in the Florida Keys. And Andre wanted a New Year's Eve celebration here in town, so that they married on the beach and had the reception on New Year's Eve, starting their married life in the best possible way with a compromise. So that was the smile for the year. There is a lively new book club starting at the library. It's the first Wednesday of every month at 6 p.m. You have a standing invitation to join the discussion and fellowship. February's book is Half-Blood Blues by Isi Adugian. There was there were 4 members of the band, and one was Jewish, and one was African American, and one was mixed race. And they were trapped in Berlin in 1939, when that was not a healthy place to be. And so, very, very interesting book. Please join the book club first Wednesday, 6 o'clock at the library. Happy New Year, and thank you for coming. There being no further business to come before this council, this meeting is adjourned.
Glad to hear it went well. Good. And then you got my email back? Yeah. That's what I figured first just make sure it's even like a possibility, and then I'll get some sketches and ideas and take it farther. I just wanted to make sure there wasn't like a no painting walls kind of, Well, I think about moving along. Oh, wow. So it's probably a little more of a hot potato than what it might seem. Okay. So, that's not I want you to absolutely. I just want to make sure he has to get on board with that. You may even have to go for it. Just because they might. Which would be fine. I just kind of wanted to at least ask a question first before I start, talking to the artists and stuff. But it would be you're going to want to have support before. Of course. But I'm just trying to give you a heads up on it because it isn't as easy as what it may seem. Right. Sometimes there are deeper levels. Exactly. So I've just seen what Neil's did to this council before. It was a little different council, a couple different members, but I mean it was like this big deal. It was like, come on. They look great, look around, but some people have different opinions on one thing. Right. Yeah. So I just wanted to give you that heads up. I wasn't trying to discourage it. I'm just saying that it has to be. That's what I figured there were. It might be more of a landmine than what you might realize. That's all. Okay. And it might be no big deal. It might be fine. Right. Okay. Yeah. Well, at least
see about cost. That might be the thing that, you know what I mean?